For this video, I'm going to show simple shaping techniques for starting to make shaped cylinders or small vase shapes. And I'm going to start off with just about 2 pounds of clay. Again, I'm going to do the same centering techniques that I have been doing. So I'm ready to open. Again, I'm going to stop my wheel and do a needle tool check. I should probably go a little bit deeper. So just taking my finger, I'm going to go a little deeper down. That seems much better. Put my wheel speed back up. Widen. And compress the base. Now I'm ready to turn my wheel speed to half speed. Really kind of work to fix that form before I start pulling. And now begin to pull. And compressing the rim after every pull. And I'll do one more pull. I want to make sure that I have an even cylinder throughout, especially when I'm starting to do basic shapes. I don't want there to be an excessively thin area where if I expanded the form, it might then collapse. So I'm going to do just a basic shaping of expansion from the base to about here. And then I'm going to sort of narrow the top, just making sort of a traditional cup or vase shape. So this is the first time that I'm going to start putting pressure with my inside hand. So as I'm starting to shape, I'm starting to think about where is the widest point of this vessel. If I'm deciding to shape from approximately here to here, my widest point would be around here. So as I'm pushing out a little bit more, most, some, less, and none. So I'm having that in my mind as I'm starting to push out and shape from the inside. So my fingertips are in the inside bottom, and I'm going to start pushing out. I'm moving slowly. I don't need to shape the form in one pass. I can go back and refine that shaping. and push out more if I would like. So just a basic shape so far, and I can go back and do that again. My outside hand is just following the form. It's not putting any pressure. Okay. Now I'm going to use my metal rib tool. My metal rib tool is actually one of the sharpest tools in this kit. So be careful when you're cleaning the rib tool to not go this direction because it will cut you at times. So I'm going to use this straight edge, and I'm going to make sure that I flex this tool really strong. 4 fingers on one side, thumb in the center. And when I'm shaping a form, I'm looking at using this rib tool as a guide or a stopping point for me to push the form into. This form, this rib tool, will create a curve that is nicer than anything I can do by my own eye. So if I allow myself to push the form into this, it's going to create a nice curve. So I'm going to hold the form and the curve shape that I want. And I'm hovering it right next to the form. It's not pushing in. I'm allowing the form to hit it. So it's hovering next to it. Put my fingers on the inside, and I'm going to start pushing out again. Now the form is going to start hitting the rib tool, and I'm going to allow it to do so, not pushing back, and moving the form up as I go. And it refined this. It took a lot of the slurry off of the exterior, so I could simply clean that off. Again, not going like that. At this point, if I want to narrow the top at all, I'm going to want to make sure that I get all the water out of the interior. So now if I want to narrow the form, I can do a few different things. I can, just by wetting the outside, I'm not adding any water to the inside, but I just took it all out. I could just squeeze inward and moving my hands up to give it a little bit of a narrowing. I could also kind of pull from this point up. Now as I'm pulling, I'm pushing in slightly with my outside finger, giving it that shape that I want. But what I can also do is use the curve of this rib tool here to help me shape. So I'm going to now push this form into this piece. I'm not going to push it a lot, but I'm going to push it some. So that curve on there is going to help refine that form and give me the shape that I'm looking for. And also clean this up. So in these shaped forms, I would like you to get used to using this metal rib tool. It will take some time, but it is well worth it. Take some time to just refine the lip. Now I'm going to use my wooden stick tool to cut down. Use my needle tool, slide under that excess clay, stop my wheel, remove that excess clay. I could use this tool again for a little bit of a cleanup. Put water on one side. Hold the wire cutter taut and drag under. You're going to notice how much easier it is to lift this form off of the wheel when you remove that excess slurry. It's going to feel less slippery. It's going to hold onto your hands nicer. So I'm going to do one more shaped piece, just showing a different style of shaping. Again, it's about the same amount of clay. For this shape, I'm going to actually widen a little bit narrower, and you're going to see why as I begin. So as you start shaping forms, you're going to want to start changing a little bit, not drastically, how much you widen to achieve different form shapes. And I'm going to begin my filling. One more pull. Okay. For this form, I'm going to concentrate on putting some volume towards the top. Little to no volume here, but more volume up here. Now, just because there's volume only really from here to here, it doesn't mean that that curve or that start of that curve needs to gradually happen. So what I don't want to do is I want to just start pushing out right here, because there's no continuation of the curve. There's nothing to support that curve, and it'll end up slumping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to still start my hand all the way at the bottom. And I'm not pushing out. But as I'm traveling up, I'm going to slowly start pushing out. Because I'm going to allow that curve to have a smooth transition. It's going to start slow from the bottom, and then it's going to start slowly expanding out. Do that again. Again, I'm not pushing out at all. And as I get to about here, I'm going to start giving a little bit more shape. Okay. Now I'm going to start using my metal rib tool. So, where I have a volume, I always turn my form, and I'm going to use the flat side and allow myself to push into this. But down here, I want it to still remain narrow. So I'm going to use this curved side, put my hand in supporting, and I'm going to push the tool into the form till right about there. I can do that again. Refining that curve. All right. Now when I get to this part, I'm going to want to switch my tool. And now I'm gonna wanna allow myself to push the form into the tool, keeping that volume that I gave it. Making then sure that I get all the water out of the interior. If I bumped it at all, I'm gonna refine that back by steadying it. Cut down. Remove excess clay. So as you're working on shaping forms, I encourage you to experiment with different areas of where the volume is in your form, from the bottom to the middle to the top, and just have fun trying different shapes.